Exercise is 17th, Allah?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So good afternoon, everybody. Viewers watching on YouTube channel. Good afternoon to all of you. And sorry for the small delay. There was a small technical glitch. So it's just about to start. Anyway, we are now all set to start off this Zoom meet. This is the 17th meet, and we have only 25 to go. We have another 8 more to go, which was the dream of our Dr. B.N. Vishwanath, our patron and the role model, whom we all look forward whenever it comes to terrace gardening, especially organic urban foodscapes. It was his desire that we do something that people remember that this organization has completed 25 years of this noble service. With that, though he is not here, his inspiration has taken us through this 16, and now we have come for the 17th Sunday, where we have something related to urban foodscapes. Last Sunday, we had somebody speaking about beekeeping. This Sunday, we have got not one, but two experts, or rather two stalwarts in organic terrace gardening, Professor Noor Fatima and Mr. Nataraj Upadhyaya. So they will be taking us through the journey today. To start with, Professor Noor Fatima will be sharing her knowledge for about 30 minutes, and then the meeting will be handed over to Sri Nataraj Upadhyaya sir. Now, a little about both of them. Professor Noor Fatima is a senior OTGian in Bengaluru, involved in promotion of such sustainable and green lifestyle in Bengaluru. She is an active member of many OTG groups and provides a useful hand-holding to build the gardening abilities of the members, more particularly to grow food and medicinal plants in small spaces. I have personally visited her lovely, beautiful garden, and she has not only developed her garden, she has also helped many people in the area. She is having an active group in the name of Cantonment OTG. Members of these groups have also developed gardens with the inspiration and guidance of Noor Madam. And Sri Nataraj Upadhyaya sir, those of you who used to attend the real Uta Humiyatota, not the virtual ones, the real ones, if at all you have attended the real Uta Humiyatota, I'm sure he wouldn't have left you. You couldn't have escaped from him. He will be there in all the Uta Humiyatota, catching hold of you, making you to sign a pledge, saying billion trees and beyond. So he's on a mission to plant 1 billion trees in this planet. Welcome, sir. Welcome to this meet. You'll be taking over the meet after Professor Noor Fatima. That's after about 30 minutes. I mentioned a little about Nataraj sir. He's a passionate OTGian from Bengaluru and with multiple talents. He's a promoter and member of a number of OTG groups, the oldest being the Baswangudi OTG group in Bengaluru. He believes in food forest concept, has a huge following online, and his pictures, photos, videos, blogs, experiential write-ups, etc. on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram platforms as Ashrama Gardens, Urban Evergreen Jungle, Billion Trees and Beyond, and many more are unique reference documents for many of us to see, read, and practice. So welcome, sir, for this 17th Sunday. Without taking much of your time, we've got two senior people who will be sharing their knowledge with us. I first hand over the meeting to Professor Noor Fatima. Please take over, madam. Over to you. Thank you.
You to make her co-host.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, madam. I made you co-host. You can go ahead.
Okay, sir. Good evening, sir. At the outset, congratulations to both Dr. Rajendra Hegde and Dr. Rajesh. You're doing a wonderful job. We've pulled through 17 days, or 17 sessions, and inshallah, we will pull through a lot more, sir. We will make sir's dream a reality as such. So at the outset, I'd like to convey my deep respects to Dr. Vishwanath, who's no more with us, but then his spirit is alive with us in every OTG in Bangalore. And I'd also like to thank my two gurus, Mr. Harish Mysore and Mr. Nataraj Upadhyaya. I think I've been grilling them so much that whatever knowledge they have, I have been selfish enough to take from them. So thank you, both of you. Now, basically, as teachers, we think our colleges and universities are giving us a lot of knowledge. But then we find that our universities are teaching us only to get a degree and maybe to earn money, but they're not teaching us how to live life. So now we have realized that we need more grandmothers with their knowledge, with their time-tested knowledge. So my respects to my first guru, my paternal grandmother. I had learned a lot from her, but unfortunately, I didn't know how valuable what she was doing was. I wish I had more time with her, and I wish I could have learned more from her. Now, basically, all of us know greens have a lot of value. And one of the most important things is they are a very non-expensive and a rich source of nutrition. High in fiber, some of them are rich in calcium, and then each one has different healing properties. So as we go through the slide, I will be talking about a few healing properties of some of the greens that we grow. Now, basically what I've done is, I've just divided my session into three. I'll be talking about perennial greens and I will be talking about annual greens. But then according to me, I've changed the definition of perennial greens. So what I have done is, some of them are trees you plant and you keep getting the greens throughout their lifespan. But then some are trees or some are plants which never disappear from your garden. They are so strong, they have such strong energies that they know how to survive. So when they never disappear from the garden, somewhere or the other they keep appearing. So I'm just pushing them under perennial greens. This is for my definition, because to let people know that you don't need to do work to grow these greens. You don't need to go out and search for seeds to grow these greens. You don't need to take tension whether they will germinate or not. They know how to take care of themselves, and they survive with very less care, and they have a lot of healing energies. So among the perennial is first a favorite of Dr. Mr. Harish Mysore, Agate Soppu or Agase. Now, Agase is rich in calcium content, and also Agase in turn is a perennial where you just need to keep on harvesting and it will grow and grow. The only issue with Agase is, anyways, it's a very positive issue, is there is a particular variety of yellow butterfly who loves this plant. And at any point of time, I see caterpillars and I see a lot of yellow butterflies come. And I've noticed that yellow butterfly doesn't go anywhere other than to this Agse. So this is something which we want most of our OTGians now, and especially we can call it as a lazy man's green. Now comes one of my favorite greens, and this is called as balloon wine. So you can see the balloon structure of the fruit of this wine. Now this wine in Tamil is called as Mudakata. Now this wine has the property of healing joint pains. So anybody who takes this wine regularly will never complain of joint pains. In this age where we are having a lot of people going in for knee replacement surgeries, if they make this wine a part of their diet, it's really going to help them avoid knee surgeries. Now, what happens is, to this wine, there are different ways in which you can use it. One is you can add it to dosas, you can make chutneys, uh, and how to identify. There's one very unique feature of this balloon wine. If you take the balloons and open it, you find a seed, and the seed has a beautiful heart-shaped structure. There's a white heart on the seed, and it's like it stretches out. When you see the heart, you feel like, it's a very caring kind of a wine. And I've also heard it that the juice of the wine is now being used in the treatment of cancer. So this is something which again I have put under perennial, because my garden forever has a balloon vine. Where it falls, when it falls, where it comes, it takes its own decision, but it is there forever and ever in the garden. So that is the reason why I've put it under and it's very, very hardy. You can see it's caught my net and it's growing on the shade net. So I don't even need to give it any kind of a support. It knows how to take care of itself. I just need to get the first seed, put the first seed, And once it comes, it is forever there in our gardens. Then comes this plant, which we in Hindi call as Bhoomi Amla or Keela Nelli. It resembles the amla, whether it's the leaves or the fruits that come under. This, as of date, is the only medicine which can cure typhoid. It's very good for liver health. A few people say it's not edible, but most of the people I've been in touch with, they say it is edible, and you can add it to your greens, just a handful. Now, at this point of time, I just need to take a few minutes off and go back to my grandmother's knowledge. Uh, I was blessed to be born in a huge bungalow where we had a lot of trees as such and a lot of wild grasses. Now, most of the days would start with my grandmother pulling me, going to the garden and pulling this or that, a few weeds, and then cooking it. She has given me a few suggestions, and that which I religiously follow till today. One of the suggestions that she has told is never eat any greens by itself. Don't repeatedly keep on eating greens. And she has also said it's always better to mix a few greens and eat. So in our terms, we call it as Miloni Bhaji. Miloni Bhaji means we have around 4 or 5 greens mixed together. So you are getting all the benefits of a few greens at one point of time. So she's told us, I mean, that is what she had told us, that you're not supposed to repeat greens a lot. Now I know a few of the greens like sabaki soppu and palak and all have high calcium content, and they are not so very good for the, I mean, they are good, but then in moderate quantities. Same way goes to agate, kire or agse soppu. So this is something which will help us maintain our liver health, especially nowadays when we are complaining about fatty liver. This is something which is going to help us. And this is again why I call it perennial is you will see this greens in almost every pot in my garden. The more I harvest, and it is really a very tough and a hardy green. And yes, anything that is tough, which has strong energies, will definitely give us a lot of healing energies. Then this is another favorite of mine, Chakramuni, or this is called as the multivitamin plant. I think this plant of mine is more than 5 years old, and at least once in 2 months I keep harvesting it, and it comes back and again, and every time that lush greenness is there in this plant. So it's a very tough plant. Now this is very good for diabetes. Just eating the leaves raw is good enough in the morning, or you can make chutneys out of these greens, or you can cook it as palya. I prefer cooking it as palya, and it's amazing. It's really very tasty. This is called as multivitamin plant because it has got vitamin C, D, and E. So this is another favorite of mine. This is another favorite of mine. I was introduced to this in Oroville initially, and then I was lucky to find it. I think this was given to me by Mr. Natraj Upadhyaya. Now, this is called as Ceylon spinach or chicken spinach. Now, this can be eaten, the tender leaves can be eaten raw, they can be put in salads, and it can also be cooked when the leaves are a little more mature. Now, this plant has a high amount of mucilage. It's somehow related to our basle also. That is why the other name for it is Ceylon basle. And any plant which has high mucilage, be it okra, be it tondekai, be the leaves of the tondekai, they are very good for the guts. And this is very healing, very good for the guts. And this is something, I again call it as perennial because a small yellow, a pink flower comes, and in fact the flower also is edible. And you just leave the flower alone and harvest the whole soppu. The flower in turn gives seeds, and you find the plant everywhere again in your garden. And this plant also is like, it never says die, it's always there in the garden. It's least problematic and very easy to grow. And it's always green and lush. Now, this is Hongone Soppu, a variety of Ponangani. The white flowers that you see, these attract a special kind of a bee. So one of the reasons I let these plants be more in the garden is they attract a lot of bees. In fact, the kids and my brother keeps complaining that the flowers are thorny and they are irritating, but then anything is welcome for the bees. Now, this Hongone Soppu, in one of the OFYTs, one lady had made a chutney out of it, and I was introduced the first time to the chutney. We've been using it as part of our palyas, but the first time I used this as a chutney, and I became a fan of the chutney, took the recipe. It's very easy. You just fry it together with with garlic, jeera, and little chilies and tamarind or tomato, and you get an amazing chutney. So this is hongone. Again, it is again a plant which says never says die. It's always there in your garden. Maybe for a short period, once you clean it, it disappears for a very short period, but it's always there in your garden. Now, this is another plant, which initially I was introduced as Gubachi Bale. It's got a purple flower. There are two varieties. This variety has a rounded leaf. The other one has a little pointed leaves. But then you have a purple color flower in this Gubachi Bale. The other name for this Gubachi Bale is Kanchet. And Kanchet, if you Google, has a lot of medicinal values, and especially it is very good for ulcers. And this is another soppu which has this attitude of never say die. It's always there in the garden, and it's like sometimes I keep gifting it, sometimes I just pull it and put it in the compost because I want to give a chance for other plants, but then it comes back and back. So this is another Kasi Soppu, which is very, very common, which people know. And it's just one of the soppus I put because I wanted to show this is the Naati variety. So this is another thing I learned from my grandmother. I go by only Naati uh, fruits and vegetables. Uh, so this soppu is Naati. The bigger leaf one is not Naati. And the seeds also are healing. In fact, they are very good for ulcers. So this greens also, once it comes, it never leaves our garden. Then this is something gifted to me by Natraj sir, and this is again there from ages. I think this was the first plant which Natraj sir gave me, and uh, Patrade is made out of it. But then I did a variation, and I remove all the stems and I chop it. And like how I use Gubachi Bale, I put it in pakodas, and the pakodas taste very yummy. And in case I'm in a little mood to do something different, what I do is I cut it into thin slices, and then how patrode is done, I mix only bhaji masala, roll it, and then I fry it, and it's really amazing. Unfortunately, whenever I cook this, I'll be cooking it and I don't get to taste it till I taste it myself when I'm cooking it. Really very, very tasty. Now, this is again Bathua or Parpukire in Tamil we say. We use it for dal. This is a Naati variety. Uh, so the other Parpukire that comes in the market is a big leaf one, and but then the taste is not so much. But this is a Naati variety. Unfortunately, it has gone to seed when I took the picture, and I didn't have a picture without the seed. Now, this is also why I call it perennial is this plant is gifted to me by Rambabu Kari. The seeds were given by Rambabu Kari, and this plant in turn is there from almost around 4 years. I've never planted a single seed. I just take the seeds and I keep it to share it with other people. But almost all the plants, I keep finding this. So I harvest the leaves. The leaves are very tiny. I harvest the leaves, put it in the sambar, whatever, or the palyas I make, and they come back again and again. So at a time from one plant, I can harvest 3-4 times, and the plant grows the plant is very huge also. It reaches a height of 6 to 7 feet, and sometimes I have to bend it to harvest it. So this is another variety of Panangani Kire. This is actually used as a border plant also, uh, but then it's very good for the eyes. and it's edible. And it also, once you harvest it, leave it, keeps on coming again and again and again. And this is also something which I have put under perennial, because they never leave the garden. Once they are there, they always are your constant companions. Maybe they are your lifetime companions also. So this is another variety of Ponangani. Now this Ponangani, you generally find it growing on the roads near the gutters and all. So it cleans the water. In fact, it removes heavy metals from the water. So it's not recommended that you buy the Ponangani and eat this Ponangani, because it has heavy chemical content and lead content in it. So what you can do is grow it in the house. It's very easy to grow. Once you grow it, and it's also very good for the eyes. One, it is very tasty. When it is tender, you can eat it raw. Just pluck a few, add it to your salads. Or what you can do is you can cook it when it matures a little bit, but kindly don't buy it. So in our area, as is basically a Tamil dominated area, they call it as Nalli Keerai. So they sell it, but then I wonder from where all it comes. And in fact, when I was younger, I used to see a lot of worms in this, and I used to be a little scared of this kire. So I would not recommending buying it. It's always better you grow it. And when you're growing it, there's no heavy chemical or lead contents, metal contents in it. No, and the taste is really amazing. And there is one more variety of Ponangani, uh, and it's a smaller version. Unfortunately, I don't have it growing in the house. I've been trying to search for it. Now, this Ponangani also is very good for the eyes. And the smaller version, we added to hair oil also. It's cooling for the system also. Now, this is one of the varieties of amaranthus. There are multiple varieties, and this is called as Punarava. Now, Punarava has different kinds of seeds. One Punarava has, flowers. One Punarava has white color flowers that used to commonly grow in our wash areas when we were younger. And this has purple flowers. There is one more variety which is generally sold in GKVK and in DOH and all, which has yellow kind of flowers. But whatever, all three are the same. So the one with the white flowers is called as the erecta, because this grows flat on the ground, but that grows a little straight. So, but then all of them have the properties of healing, especially they are very good for the kidneys. So Punarnava can help with people having problems with uric acid. It can avoid, not telling it can heal, but it can help in kidney health. In fact, it heals also. Kidney health, building in our kidney health with something with the handling uric acid problems, or also bringing down creatine levels. I've heard that if you take the entire plant, the leaf, the flowers, the stalk, the stem, as well as the roots, and make a juice of it, it is amazing at pulling down the creatine levels. So this is another very hardy plant, but unfortunately this plant disappeared from my garden in the rains, and I took this from Mr. Anup. I called Mr. Anup. I asked him to send me a picture because I wanted something growing in our OTGs. Punarnava also has another benefit, and it's supposed to be very good for managing irregular heartbeats. So most of these herbs that you find, they don't have one benefit, they have linear benefits. Sometimes the leaf has some benefits, sometimes the flowers have some benefits, sometimes the seeds have some benefit. So whatever knowledge I'm giving you all is just a layman's knowledge. I'm also just a learner. I'm learning, I'm experimenting, and I am sharing. So, but then, yes, these plants are very healing and they give a lot of energy. You can see this plant, it's growing from the wall. Just imagine how much all of us OTGians take care of our plants, and in our pots only, they have a difficulty growing. But this guy is growing from the wall, from a small crevice. Just imagine the healing property. Just imagine the life force this particular plant has. So that is why I took this picture. It's growing now in one part of my wall. And this is Purslane. Purslane, we call it as kulfe kire in our language. I don't know what it is called in Kannada. But Purslane is very good one. We cook it in moong dal. It has high mucilage, and so it is good for the guts. But at the same point of time, what happens is it's rich in omega-3 fatty acids. So it's a must for all vegetarians that they should have purslane in their diet. And purslane is another plant which comes on its own. You don't need to keep planting it. The seeds keep scattering, getting scattered everywhere, and you find them growing in every pot. So I have this rule in my garden. That is the reason why I very scared to allow gardeners into the garden. And the rule is any plant decides to come anywhere, it's the plant's will that it will be there. I will not disturb it. So, and I don't expect any gardener to disturb it. Yes, initially I get the plant into the garden, but after that I give free will for the plant where it wants to grow, how it wants to grow. I just thank it, thank God, and I use it in my garden. So purslane is very rich in omega-3 fatty acids, very good for children, especially for their memory, for their brains. So this is one variety of sorrel. Basically, if you go back to our traditions, you will find that we were not using tomatoes. So instead of tomatoes, we were using a lot of other plants. One of them, all of you know, that's why I've not added the picture. And that is our gongura. Then we had other ways of making a curry sar, and this is one of them. This is a variety of sorrel, and this again I think is there in my garden from 3 or 4 years. In fact, I added it to one pot. It is growing in 4 pots now. I think you can see it in 2 pots now, the picture. And it has a mind of its own. It grows and grows and grows. I don't even know how the seed goes into the next pot, but all the 4 pots in line have this, and I can harvest how much ever I want, and my curries will have abundance. In fact, I come back to one very important thing. All of us keep thinking that there is our resources are limited, and whatever is there in our garden is limited. In fact, it is not limited. There is so much of abundance. The only thing is we don't know how to use it and what to use. So nature has gifted us with abundance. Just imagine if this kind of a biodiversity is found in a garden, and this is a terrace garden, how much biodiversity would be found in our layouts, in our open fields, and in our farms. It is just a learning journey. We need to learn, we need to spend time to just observe nature, to find out what all it is gifting us and try to use it. Otherwise, this mentality of scarcity, we have only a few vegetables, our carrots, our beetroots, our beans, is something very limited. We have so much. You can grow so much and you don't need to repeat it also. So this is the wild variety of sorrel. This also is cooked. And one of the things about this wild variety of sorrel is, again, it comes with most of the in the pots, and it is a very nice companion plant. I've been noticing in at times where I've been not been able to water the garden, it's the sorrel which dies first, but the main plant is there. And I love the sorrel because it's got a sacrificing nature. It always, whatever be the plant, whichever pot it has grown, this is the first plant to die. But the main plant will always be there. And the kids love the small bendekai that comes, the lady's finger. The kids love playing with it. And once they touch it, it disperses in every corner of the garden. So this is the wild sorrel, and it's very, very tasty. And in our childhood, we grew up eating it, and we just eat it raw. Even today, it's eaten raw or it's put into the, and it's got 3 heart-shaped leaves. So another very beautiful thing about is it has 3 heart-shaped leaves. Usually I go by Naati greens, vegetables, etc. But I've made an exception to this rule. This is a plant gifted to me by Pradeep, and this is a tree spinach. Now, this is one of the varieties of spinach. It grows up to 10 meters, uh, and you have a huge garden of rich sources of iron and calcium and fiber, and one tree can feed more than a dozen people at a point of time. So it can be a part, in fact, it is a part of all the food forests of Africa as well as America. The name of this plant, the other name of the plant is chaya. You can Google this plant. And my plant is maybe around 4 years old, and I've made hundreds of cuttings. And these cuttings have gone into a lot of OTGs, a lot of farms. And the plant is so strong. It goes through any kind of a weather and it will still be contributing a lot of lush greenery. Now, the only issue with this plant is this plant has a little cyanide content, like um, almonds. So almonds also have cyanide. That is why we need to soak them. This plant also has cyanide. So the only precaution is you can either boil it and then cook it, or you should cook it for minimum 20 minutes. So once you cook it for minimum 20 minutes, your plant is safe, healthy. So you cannot eat this raw. So this is one plant which cannot be eaten raw. It should be eaten only after it is well cooked, that too for 20 minutes. So I repeat once again, anyone who's interested can Google. The other name for this plant is chaya, and it's got multiple uh, health benefits. So this is another greens which I'm trying to find. It's not there in my garden, but I want this. But I've been using this plant from quite some time. So this is called as Delonix Elata. It is in Tamil. It is called as Vadnarayani Keerai. So we either cook the soppu. So I told you, in a Tamil dominated area. So these greens ladies, they bring this, and it's supposed to be very good for removing gas from the body, as the name itself says. So it's a tree, and it's a tree which grows again up to 10 meters. So you have an abundance of greens and food as such. So this is another. So generally, many Tamilians, what they do is they dry the leaves, and they in turn they add it to their rasams. So they make a very light rasam and add it to the rasams. Or I make a palya and I mix it in all. And this is one of the greens which is not very common, but which I see that comes regularly on and off in my diet. So now we finished with most of the perennials. I mean, ones which are always there in the garden at any point of time, be it January, be it June, or be it December. So now we come to the annuals. I'm not going to talk about most of the soppus that we have, like palak and all, but I wanted to show you the picture of my palak. This has come from a hole in the drum. So this drum has tondekai, and it has come from the hole in the drum. And again, it's come on its own. It's a volunteer plant, and it's surviving so beautifully. It's been harvested once, and this is after the one harvest. And just imagine the energies that this plant is going to give, because it has a strong survival instinct. So all other soppus are there, our gangura is there, palaks are there, sabaki soppu is there, varieties of dandan soppu is there. But here I want to add one soppu, ane soppu. I was introduced to this soppu when in my first posting in Kudur. So in the Sante, they were selling this. I first flipped for the flowers. I thought it belongs to the coxcomb family. but then the greens are very tasty, very healthy. So this later on I came to know in my OTG journey, I came to know it's called as Ane Soppu. And even now, if I want the soppu, if we go to KR market early in the mornings, some of the villages will be selling this as a flour. So you get the flour also, you can get the soppu also when you buy from them. So whenever I go on my visits to KR market, I will buy this, not for the flowers, but for the soppu. I tried growing this, but unfortunately I did not succeed. So this is a picture from the net. Now we come back to uh, the abundance aspect that I was talking about. Now, basically, what happens is we Indians initially had this kind of a tendency that we revered everything, we respected everything, and we knew about everything. But then a time came where we started thinking in very limited ways, and we started only using limited uh, food. So we've started like reducing the amount of food that we are eating, or the amount of things that come as food, and the healthy greens, the vegetables are disappearing, and all unhealthy things are coming back into our garden. But if I read about the UK, US and all, once they in turn use a vegetable, whatever are the peels of the vegetable or the, whatever greens, they make it into a vegetable stock and it is added again to their soups. So they're not wasting anything, they're cooking every single thing. But we have stopped, we waste more. And when we are wasting, where can we get abundance as such? So now we come back to all the greens that we can use. Beetroot. So beetroot is edible. In fact, if you grow beetroot in the shade, you get bigger leaves, smaller beetroots, and you can cook the beetroot leaves. In traditional Indian cooking, nolkol was cooked along with the leaves. Beetroot was cooked separately, but the leaves were cooked separately. Mulangi, everybody knows, mulangi is very good for liver health. Then this is carrot. So carrot leaves, when you're thinning, when they are tiny, you can eat it as a add it to the salads. But once it grows a little bit, it becomes a little bitter. So you can make a palya. We Indians are already used to the bitter soppus. We can eat it as a bitter soppu, or else there is a very easy, tasty soup that we can make. We can add a little potato, a little sweet potato, and then the carrot greens and mix it together and make a soup. So the sweetness of the sweet potato and the potatoes will cover the bitterness of the carrot. So you're harvesting carrot one side, you're making soups the other side, you can make palya the other side. So you are creating abundance, you're not creating scarcity in your lives. So this is another plant, which is a wonder plant. It is hippily. Hippily leaves are edible. They are added to salads. So you
little faster, madam.
Beg your pardon, sir.
Little quicker. So we are already 45 minutes.
Sure, sir. Give me 5 minutes. I'll finish it. So hippily leaves are edible. In fact, they are supposed to have anti-cancerous properties. So hippily is tastier. You can add it in your cooking also, especially though I'm a vegetarian. I heard that adding to kebabs is very, very tasty. So pumpkin, this is another leaf that we can use. Only thing, you should remove the fiber. Pumpkin leaves have a lot of fiber. You have to remove it. These are all varieties of sweet potatoes, and all the sweet potato leaves are edible. In fact, many people grow sweet potatoes more for the leaves. They don't eat the tuber, they eat the leaves. And the leaves are very tasty. You can make a stir fry out of it, or you can make a palya out of it. And maybe the tender ones, you can add it to the salads. All the varieties of sweet potatoes. These are some of the varieties growing in my garden. So tondekai leaf is another greens that we can use. Now I'm going to give a quick overview of some of the greens I'm growing, where I'm giving a little margin to my sister, where she wanted other kinds of greens. So these are, you will find Japanese mint, lemon basil, So what you see in the left is lemon balm, and then sweet basil, and one side behind is the oregano, all growing happily in a pot. Then these are broccoli, where we use the broccoli leaves also, and wherever kale, wherever in recipes in salads they ask for kale leaf, you can substitute broccoli with the kale leaves. So you use the broccoli also, you use the leaves also. So this is celery, and this is another. These are different varieties of lettuce, easy to grow. These are different varieties of mint. This mint is called as burger mint. This is oregano, and this is water celery. So this is a celery which grows in water and can be used in salads. And this is one of my favorites. Basically, I have a huge garden, but I'm a lazy gardener. So you can see sorrel growing behind, and here you can see Bringaraja. So my garden is like that only, everything grows everywhere. But the plant here is a variety of coriander. So this is a 365-day coriander. You just need to keep on cutting the leaves. You can see on the left the seeds coming. The seeds, when they are mature, they fall down, and you will always be having coriander 365 days. In fact, maybe I should have added it to the perennials, because it decides, but then it's a little sensitive. Sometimes it disappears. So that's why I keep it in multiple pots, so that if one disappears, at least somewhere it is there. So with this, I close my presentation. Thank you, sir, for giving an opportunity. I hope this kind of a knowledge spreads.
Thank you so much, madam. So nicely presented, and it was straightforward, and I think all those who are listening and seeing probably surely benefited. One or two questions probably we will come back at the end of the session after Nataraj Upadhyaya. Probably he is also putting similar knowledge to us. Maybe one question is on that we need the tree spinach cutting. The other one is probably abundant passion fruit leaves. So can we use passion fruit leaves as vegetable? So
Yes,
if you have some knowledge, probably you can just add it. We will discuss on that. Over to Nataraj Upadhyaya, sir.
Thank you, Rajendra sir. Thank you, Noor Fatima, for a very educative session. I am sure many will find it very, very useful and transforming. My presentation is slightly different. Instead of utility knowledge, I'm going to tell you a story. And to make that story interesting, I will make it short, and I will use the slides, the PowerPoint slides, to keep it short so that you can see the details in the slide itself. I need a host permission to share the screen, please, so that
Yes,
I can.
one Rajesh.
Sir, you are the co-host, sir. It is disabled. The participant screen sharing is disabled.
You have to give a co-host to Nataraj Upadhyaya also.
No,
Just check.
Yeah, now it should.
Oh, it is enabled now. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
So, thank you so much. Okay, now I am ready. The topic I'm going to talk about is the story of billion trees and beyond, how it started and where we are today. So I talk about what it is all about, its genesis, progress, where we are now, and options for way forward. Coming to the first part, it's basically a social startup attempt. Key objective is to empower billion of new trees in this universe, mainly through activism. So this is thought of spreading globally, because everyone needs trees. Trees grow everywhere, and for the internet, there is an estimate of anywhere between 7 to 15 billion trees cut per year for various purposes. Therefore, achieving 1 billion trees. However, our efforts needs to start from small steps. The moment I coined billion trees and beyond, I was feeling it is very realistic, and it is realistic. But within a month, I felt like a jackass, because
I could have called it as trillion trees and beyond, because we need so many trees. But anyway, we'll cross billion, then worry about trillion. This is the typical banner I use in the pledge events. It is used for a particular purpose. There is a key message here for the urbanites. We have a lot of excuses not to grow a tree, but it is already proven that trees can be easily grown on concrete structures. What you need is a 50-liter drum. That size, trees can easily grow up to 15 feet. And for us urbanites, city slickers, anything grows about 10 feet can be considered tree. And it is very quite delighting reality for us. Therefore, billion trees and beyond encourages growing trees on the terrace. And one more favorable point here is, when you grow in a tough recycled plastic drum, even very invasive trees like pupil tree or banyan tree can be grown, because you can contain them without breaking the container, at least for decades. For example, the recycled bins I am using will last beyond me. So that is a very easy thing to consider. Now, what is billion trees and beyond basically does? Our public interface is through a blog at this stage. The blog address has been taken with Google, so spend around 1,000 rupees per year. That is the running cost. So main engagement is raising pledges using various events. We take pledges from individuals, families, and institutions. Basically, we ask them to commit for affecting trees over the lifetime, and we also recognize the number of trees they have influenced so far. And in the certificate we issue, we highlight both the details. So the certificate is not only a pledge, it's also a recognition for the efforts done so far, and it is also a marketing or a branding instrument, so that others in the network of the pledgee, when they come across this certificate, they will also be influenced towards the right action. So all the pledges have been documented through an Excel spreadsheet and maintained, and they are also published in the blog. There is a wishful thinking that one day this activism will become an institution and get world record level recognitions. I may not be the one to get it done, but I am hoping that this activism is right now in a startup stage, which will get institutionalized with the help of agencies like Garden City Farmers and events like OFIT, etc. Now, why pledge? Why particularly pledge? The pledge has a very powerful effect on the intended outcome. In schooling, we are taught very well about body and mind. There is very little education about harnessing our heart and spirit. Heart is primarily about feelings like love, compassion, joy, etc. Spirit, the energy, also we have not understood. Is something not very well understood, so we simply call it as God within, or soul, or Atma, or whatever it is. But spirit is something we can cultivate and we can utilize. In fact, I would say that if body and mind contribute to an efficacy of 25%, the remaining will be 75%. So our education leaves us without telling us how to use the 75% ability of our realm or being. So we need to learn that. In my case, I learned with the trial and error, but I think the new generations can quickly catch up with this education. There are enough avenues to catch up with the heart and spirit today. It's very important. So the pledge help us to invoke the power of heart and spirit and making the actions associated easy for the being and the context. So That's all I would like to say at this stage. And typically a person who is taking a pledge without any force, with the complete freedom and with a heartful engagement, typically overachieves and goes beyond the pledge. That is the magic of the pledge. So, and also the pledge has a multiplying force, not just for the individual, but also the context across the individual's teams. So this is something we can consider to leverage in any activism, as long as it is genuine, it is a free choice for the entities considered. Now, this is a typical pledgee who has signed the certificate. We gave the certificate and we documented it with a photograph. Look at the joy; it is a natural joy. This lady is so happy about this pledge. It has already given her a lot of hope, lot of confidence about what difference she is going to make in her life, in others' life, and the world in general. The photo tells more than 1,000 words here. This is a pledge event we conducted in Sirsi, a rural background school, but a model school in Bayrumbe near Sirsi. This is just, we went to all the classrooms. This is just one classroom where class teacher and the students, joined in the pledge process, and they're so happy about the whole thing. And the team building that happened around this is a bonus. We cannot attach a price to it. This is how the pledge certificate looks like. We have both in English and Kannada. We give a choice for the participant to pick the language. The pledge can be done by anyone, right from a 5-year-old boy all the way to 80-year-old man. It can be done by institutions. It can be done by a group of people as a team, husband and wife, or fiancés, or the families together. Here, just one example that there are a lot of green warriors out there who do not need a formality of a pledge, but I insist them that they should pledge, because this is a multiplier effect. When people see that there are such green warriors, in this case Roy K, who has acres of land, grows trees, and has a green entrepreneurship, ending with manufacturing of various edible things. He made a pledge. Already he has planted 60,000 trees, and he clearly sees that in his lifetime, with the proper calculation, basically we use confidence level of the pledgee as to minimum how many number of trees they can influence in a year. This came to 20 lakhs plus trees. This looks unbelievable, but we cover everybody. Even someone comes with 5 trees pledge, we honor such a person and the spirit behind it. This is a typical pledge certificate in Kannada. Whether you look at the English or a Kannada one, you can easily see that there is number of years pledge is made as to the active effort for making difference for the trees. Then total number of trees that will be achieved through the lifetime, and how many trees are already planted. So here the trees already planted, we typically consider only the ones that are alive. So we do recognize that lot of some percentage of trees do not survive for various reasons, and the person who has planted typically knows about them. This is how we publish the pledge data in the blog. In this case, for example, this event happened in OFIT August 25th, 2019. It took 7 pages to explain all the pledge details from all the pledges. Here, I would like to talk about pledging being applicable to any and every individual. I just wanted to show some demography here. At the top left, we see BM English School students, an event that happened in BM English School with their very beloved teacher. The students did the pledge process before. They went in search of their beloved teacher, who was very busy with the volunteering for the event, pulled her and brought her to the stall and got her pledge, pledging, and they took a photo with her. It is so personal and it is so uplifting. The photo we have at the top right is a Kurgi family. Both parents are working, and the children are being groomed to be model citizens of future. So the parents coax the young ones to pledge, and they took a photo. And in this event, looking at our efforts, the couple also sponsored the cost of our event in this particular case also. You will see at the bottom uh, left, a pledge has been taken by the youngest one, but the elders are also very proud with her. And this is a souvenir. They will take it home, both in terms of photograph and the uh, certificate, and there will be multiplying effect. And looking at the right side, this is an event that happened at Saint Xavier Girls High School. Thanks to Noor Fatima ji to organize this. Very amazing turnout, a very amazing enthusiasm. These three girls not just they did the pledge, they kind of celebrated around it, and their girl energy came out even in the photo session. Some more photos here. You can see the young man on the top left, and a mom in the top right with both of her children pledging. A proud mom seeing a very meaningful future for her parents. At the bottom one, you see me with the students. Sometimes it becomes a bit difficult to manage the event if we have shortage of volunteers. So I was overwhelmed. So someone took me being very busy. But you can see the interest level of the students. That is more important. The photo in the middle is a pledge that happened, that was done by iCare at Rajarajeshwari Nagar OTG annual event. Something more than 20,000 trees were pledged. Already some 5,000 trees have been affected by this team. Very applauding work. Now, one of the attractions in the events we use is free distribution of saplings or seeds. In this case, what is very handy is a Mexican sunflower, because this grows as a tree. On the ground it can grow 20 feet. In the bins it can easily grow 15 feet. And it is easy to maintain, and it is easy to replicate. You have to just take a cutting and put it in the soil. That's all you need to do. So for the beginners, you need to give them hope that this is not a rocket science. So we constantly distribute this cutting. I transformed the ashrama gardens for the last 2 years into a factory of producing Mexican sunflower. More than 2,000 cuttings were produced from our jungle. Of course, I do take donations of these cuttings from other friends also. So this has been a catalyst or a multiplier effect to make the entire event attractive and fulfilling for the first timers. Now, the pledging definitely needs volunteers, because here I am trying to explain the pledging process. Basically, we have to manage the pledge. I will not get into detail. You have to collect information. You have to make sure the pledge is based on a person's freedom, and no force is applied, and they are not under any pressure. So you have to educate them about the purpose and the process, and understand their confidence level and help them in coming to a decision, which then translate into the pledge documentation and the certificate writing. Then you get it signed by them. Then only it becomes a true pledge. Then you hand over the certificate, take a photograph, and eventually publish it in the blog with all the data. That's all it takes, but it's very stressful activity, needing at least 4 volunteers to run an event very effectively. Next, going to the next one, resource readiness for hosting a pledge event. You need certain resources, very minimal resources. We use the banner in the background that's used for photograph also. You need a chair and couple of chairs. You need a desk and a couple of chairs. In our case, I do have plastic ones that can be carried in the back of my car. So we can be very independent in hosting this event. Then we need pledge certificates. We need to estimate the turnout and have at least more than that we never send the pledges back saying that we didn't have certificate for them. That is very important. Then stationery to write the certificates. Then we need emergency food and water for volunteers in case we are not able to leave the table for a long time. Then we need to ensure freebies for the pledges, especially the newbies. Even some interesting snacks also will help there. A good camera. Sometimes if you have to take the photo with flash, you need to have battery backups. We always used our mobile phone as the backup when the batteries ran out. So we are able to manage the event so far without any hiccups. But this whole thing happened with many people involved. Key cheerleaders, late Dr. Vishwanath ji was a major empowering agent. He saw the value for this. He had a vision of food forests and some cost for the tree as part of OFIT going forward. So he openly supported me and brought this agenda into very much into OFIT. Dr. Rajendra Hegde carried that mantle and ensured permanent sponsorship of the stall and encouraged us. Late Sri Anant Kumar ji and now Srimati Tejaswini Anant Kumar ji, being very active under Adamya Chetana, which is working very diligently for the green cause in and around Bangalore, have been a major cheerleader through OFIT for me, if not direct. In fact, Srimati Tejaswini Anant Kumar ji pledged 1 crore plants, trees, because that is her commitment through Adamya Chetana. They have already crossed close to 3 lakhs in it. So I would like to mention them, but not only them. Since I have been active in OTG communities, I know all the OTG leaders across 25 OTGs in Bangalore. They have been very instrumental in encouraging this activism, conducting events in their OTGs and enabling volunteers from their OTG groups. Thanks to all of them. The biggest sponsor for this is Uta from Your Tota event, what we call is OFIT. 75 to 80% of pledges have come from OFIT events. That is an amazing contribution from OFIT for this cause. But this event can be planned along with any other event where people gather. It can be done even on on a street, in a junction, anywhere, as long as you can do it meaningfully with people who are committed to the cause. Then I should thank all the event organizers permitting to co-host this pledge event by the site. These are literary events. These are community events and school events. So all kind of events. So I thank all of them. Of course, different sponsorship have been given either in printing certificates, event hosting, and supplying free tree saplings or seeds for the events. Thanks to all of them. At least 50 plus volunteers have been associated with this for activism. I cannot name all of them. Thanks to all of them. Some of them are one-timers, and some of them are repeaters, and their help has been very useful. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to confirm this far success in this short while. I should thank at least 2,000 plus pledges who have effected 1.6 crores of trees through their lifetime. And of course, brand ambassadors and well-wishers through their word of mouth have helped in the background. Thanks to them too. Now I'm coming to the next part, how this activism started, because nothing happens in vacuum. There is a pregnancy process before the birth. So in a way, we are trying to understand the pregnancy. I will summarize that. Okay, I personally went through a spiritual journey during 2011 and 14, and I wanted to internalize the aspect of God, irrespective of me being agnostic, and I achieved that. I internalized the spirit of God within me by 2014, and also found that my best representation of seeing God is in nature, especially in the nature that is out there with no manual effort. You can call jungle. So I got associated with the pristine virgin nature, rather jungle, around this time. The OTG started for me 2010, but my decision to go for jungle was in 2012, and it was achieved by 2015. Also, I had a daydream in 2014, since I could equate the spirit of Devi with the nature. I was I was in a distress to recognize that we Bangaloreans have, especially I am from Banashankari area. Banashankari is represented by a temple for goddess Banashankari. Banashankari literally means the deity of forest, but she doesn't have a forest. She is in a concrete jungle, and that is very ironic, and it is very disheartening. So I felt that I cannot just feel about it. I had to do something about it. So I came with a daydream. Why don't we spread the spirit of Banashankari all over the world? That was a daydream. That daydream to become a reality through this activism took 4 more years. Then I need to talk about ashrama gardens, which is basically the garden at on and around our home. Basically, our OTG has become a jungle during 2012 to 15. Every year, I am working very hard to make the jungle more pristine, more vibrant. So it is still ongoing work. So this became a personal paradise for me, and a lot of the visitors, whether it is mammals or the birds or insects, it is literally a paradise. So that is definitely a part of the setup. Then organic terrace gardening communities, I became part of it from 2012, and I have been quite active. My main role is more of a thought leader and a cheerleader, so that executive leaders can be encouraged or empowered as needed. So I was very active in bootstrapping Baswangudi OTG with the able leadership of Vaijanti. Came early on, and now I'm not getting the name. Anu Chabra. In fact, you might have seen, some of you might have seen that Vaijanti came, became very mature through her OTG journey. She bootstrapped a very powerful activism called Chinnara Kaitota with her friends. and eventually I think she transformed into a spiritual leader nowadays. And you might have seen the growth of Anu Chabra, who has been a successful entrepreneur to start with, has done wonders with the Baswangudi OTG, and she herself has become an icon with lot of expertise and lot of entrepreneurial engagements in the OTG area. So I don't need to say more about that. Interestingly, the Baswangudi OTG itself became a melting pot of talents and committed people looking for activism incubation. At least two groups came out taking the message of waste management and composting. Um, uh, Ms. Garudachar as well as I'm not getting the name. So there are two groups who have been very active. Then Chinnara Kaitota also is an outcome of Baswangudi OTG's interactions. Then we even attempted to paint Bangalore green, which was to leverage online community to bring more green into Bangalore. But it kind of failed because of my lack of executive leadership. I was unable to motivate volunteers in a methodical manner to keep things going. Otherwise, there were a lot of dreams associated with that. Many other neighboring OTGs were bootstrapped from the Baswangudi OTG community. So over a time, you could see that all the talents kind of going away from Baswangudi OTG to make other OTGs nearby. But Baswangudi OTG has been, welcoming new members, and it is still a very vibrant group, I would say. So that was in the background. So then, of course, Dr. Vishwanath ji's vision expansion for OFIT was in the background. Then, in general, I was a bit distressed about public apathy and lack of awareness of global climate change, how serious this issue is, and what we need to do for sustainability. Within the OTG communities, we quickly caught up with sustainable lifestyle, and we did wonders. But we were struggling to take this message to general masses. We have done some work, but we still have a long way to go. In the meantime, I came across Srimati Smita Kamath, who is a very accomplished consultant, but turned into a spiritual healer or a leader. She came up with a very powerful concept uh, called Revive Ancient Wisdom for Abundance. For this, she started a Kadu initiative. She actually implemented a Devara Kadu in Channapatna, which I have visited and was very impressed. I did stay overnight to experience the whole thing. And so it was very clear from my interaction with Smita Kamath is that if you are growing spiritually, it is a must step for you to become a spiritual healer for this entire universe. And in my case, I chose it as a cause of greenery or trees. So that is in summary.
Let's say a quick note on the time. If you can maybe wrap up in the next
5 minutes.
Yeah. Yes.
Sure. So the key triggers came is my own journey of leaving a legacy, because I was maturing in terms of aligning my purpose, path and self expression. So this one was a testing ground for me. Then this activism is a baby of Paint Bangalore Green, or a continuation of Paint Bangalore Green. And then I had an enchanting experience with Mexican sunflower at Chenpatna. So that I carried as a vehicle to bring the awareness of green for lazy Bangaloreans, and it has served its purpose. Now, I will quickly mention certain inspiration. Salomarada Timmakka is a challenge for us, because she, being an illiterate, could do so much. We so-called literates and with certain access to empowerment, what is that we are doing for issues that matter to us most? Then Dr. Vishwanath is definitely an inspiration. He's like a godfather for all our engagements. Happy Feet is the movie I would say must see, because it talks about a personal transformation making a difference for the community. I will not get into details now. Dr. Shivram Karanth is not only a successful literary figure, but his contributions are very high for the cause of nature, and he created necessary conservation even in our village, and that photo is side by, which is in the backwaters. Then concept of Rakta Bijasura I would like to mention. How can you bring less effort and maximum results? That has been used to design the pledge process here. Then IAC, I was a student. IAC is a 400-acre urban evergreen jungle. So that has been achieved, and it is not much showcased. It is a big deal. And that inspiration is always with me. This satellite photo, you can see how the IAC jungle looks in the concrete jungle of Bengaluru. Another inspiration I got is from my US experience, where the folks with wealth, culture, and maturity were always surrounded by green or even forest, and some of the homes were fully covered with creepers, and that is what has encouraged me to do our ashrama gardens as a jungle. This is the ashrama gardens in a concrete jungle, surrounding concrete jungle. You can see it is making a difference. The greenery is not only coming from ashrama gardens, also the two neighboring houses also contribute with their greens. It's kind of an oasis in the desert. Ashrama garden from front view, so you can see why it is an inspiration. And top view, and this is the view inside on the terrace. So this is the ashrama garden looked in the initial years before taking the decision to make it a jungle. There are some videos. For lack of time, I will not go through it. Maybe we can cover it in question and answer if there is time permitting. Also, there is another aspect, is the aesthetic leverage of the jungle. It is amazing. I have done more than 400 photo videos, kind of a pictorial documentation of how the jungle evolved. So the activism was bootstrapped later, after I myself planted 300 trees in a matter of 3 months. That gave the confidence. The power of pledge was implemented, and October 28, 2018, we launched this in an OTG event at Baswangudi. We have method for madness. I will not get into detail as to how to count trees, whether it's historic as well as futuristic. So I will not get into details. So quickly coming to the progress, we have achieved 1.65 crores of tree pledges. Another 4 lakhs of pledges are yet to be documented. Because of COVID situation, it is in the back burner right now. More than 2,000 Mexican sunflower cuttings are distributed. The proof of concept of this activism is proven. It's ready for institutionalization, is what I say. Even franchisee model can be used for quickly grow this movement worldwide, is what I would like to say. So where is it now? Since February 2020, because of COVID situation, there is a complete pause for this activism. That is understandable. So going forward, we need to institutionalize this with a trust and trustees and executive leaders. I am not an executive leader. I am a thought leader and a cheerleader. And unfortunately, through the COVID journey, I have been, my purpose seems to be mutating to something else as a priority for a limited time left for me in this journey on earth. So I would like to hand over to an executive set of leaders and see this going forward. I welcome everyone listening to this to give a thought about this and help that transition as soon as possible. So that is the summary of that. There are various links, you can go through it. And at the end, I have included the aesthetic aspect of the jungle. Jungle looks from a distance a bit cluttered and mindless, but it is not. It is a paradise. And once you get used to it, you will build the sensitivity to become the angel within that paradise. So to summarize, this is a social startup. 1.65 crores trees have been pledged. Actually, the more will be planted through the lifetime of pledges. So you may have to wait for anywhere up to next 70, 80 years. But actually, you will see more trees by then. But this movement should be institutionalized and scaled up. And I need help in that regard. Thank you for listening to this presentation. Thanks to Garden City farmers and all the leaders to enabling this. Thank you all for listening to this with all the patience. Thank you. Namaste.
Sir, if possible, please take for that 2 minutes video, sir, please.
Sure, I will do this right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Basically, this is for the benefit of YouTube viewers later. We would play it online so that it becomes part of the YouTube documentation. So give me a minute. I will go to the right screen and run it. Okay. Okay, it's somewhere here.
Below that, sir. Below that.
Yeah. Okay. Looking good. So I am actually running a video which I created with my mobile phone 2 months back. Okay. So there was no order or planning. So it is spontaneous. In a way, it is good. Basically, I am showing the core of the jungle. I am climbing on the steps to the terrace. The terrace steps are converted into caves.
Not running for us, sir.
Now I am on the terrace. You can see that this terrace is not having pillars or beams. So I am having a weight on the walls or the in the sides on the near to the fence. Easily 25 tons of weight is taken by this structure. There's unnecessary fear with respect to carrying this kind of weight on terrace. You can see.
Sir, I think it is not visible. It is not visible to us.
Our home.
The screen, the video is not visible. What we'll do is we'll post it on the link on the comment section.
Okay.
So it will be
Yeah, it is not seen.
Okay. Shall I stop then?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
You can stop here.
I'm stopping the video because it is not becoming visible for the Google.
Yeah.
You can stop the presentation, sir. We can discuss, sir.
Yes, sir. So over to you all.
Over to Anil Nadik. Over to Anil Nadik.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Few questions quickly. Now that we ran a little beyond our scheduled time, so but the sessions were really informative. Thanks to both Noor Fatima Madam and Nataraj Upadhyaya on some really important initiatives that we have to all commit to. So I would request the viewers to support the Billion Trees and Beyond initiative and get in touch with Nataraj Upadhyaya and team to support them in this wonderful endeavor. So quickly, Noor Fatima Madam, also if you can come back online quickly, a few questions. So one question is how most of these greens are seen in terrace garden, how the seeds are propagated. Is there a certain method you're following for propagation, or or in general, how can others make this more of a perennial thing? Is there a certain system or method that they have to follow?
Some of them came on their own, sir. Like for example, the Aman Pacharsi, it's not there in the video. All of them came on their own, but Punarava I bought from DOH, and Kanchet was given to me by, initially when I visited Nataraj sir, he had given the 2 varieties of Kanchet. Balloon vine, yeah, I had put the seeds from Meghnadhan, sir. So, except Aman Pacharsi and this thing, Punarava, and this thing, what do you say, the Bhoomi Amala, all I had to get the seeds and propagate it. The others came on their own, sir. But once they came, they never left the garden.
Okay.
Purslane came on its own. Everything almost came on its own. Maybe they came in the cow dung, maybe they came in the soil, but they came. I should thank God for sending it.
Okay.
And in fact, most of it I didn't know about Aman Pacharsi, and I had posted it to one of my friends who's a nutritionist, and she told me it's got multiple uses.
Okay. Thank you. Another question. You talked about Punarava soppu, food for kidney. Is there a specific variety, the yellow, purple, or white, or all varieties are good?
FLRHT and GKVK and all are selling the white, the ones with the yellow flowers, but all are equally good. That's what I heard.
Okay, great. And also, radish is also good for.
Radish, especially the leaves, are very good for the liver. In fact, I remember when summer starts, my grandmother used to make us eat the leaves. And we used to get the leaves with a lot of buchi and all because the leaves attract a lot of insects. Uh, in spite of that, she used to see that we used to eat a lot of radish leaves during summer. She used to force us to eat.
Okay, great.
That's what I keep saying, sir. We need grandmothers with the ancient wisdom because we've lost quite a bit of the knowledge. Even I, till today, I can imagine some of the soppus that she used to make me harvest. On and off, I've seen one or two soppus. I don't know the name, I don't know about them. And it's just like, we've lost so much knowledge. And now in a urban place, trying to connect with all of them is a little more difficult.
Yes, I think that's all. Some people have been asking about some of the plants and saplings, and also some cuttings if possible. I think some common places where we can find them is obviously the GKVK Garden Center or some of your local garden centers, and through friends.
POH,
Through friends.
Biocenter.
Anything else you want to highlight, Fatima Madam, on where?
So one more thing, actually, I had cut down my presentation, but still it pulled on. When we have to add microgreens, we can grow everything except chilies, brinjal, potato, and tomato. We can plant anything and have it as microgreens. In fact, especially the beans, variety, everything. So the microgreens give us 60% more nutrition than the vegetable itself. And it's very easy to grow. You can grow it in balcony spaces. You don't need sunlight also for that. You can grow it indoors, and you just need to, and you don't even need soil. You can grow it in coco peat, or even if you're finding it difficult to get coco peat, you can just grow it in ordinary tissue papers. So anybody can have access to healthy food. Only thing they need to make a slight effort.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. That's all on the question side. Dr. Rajendra, you want to ask anything specifically on anything else?
No, I think I missed it. I think congratulate both of them, senior OTGians. Missed the virtual tour of Nataraj Upadhyay sir. So I'm just staying maybe half kilometer from his place. I did not visit his place yet. So I thought of seeing the jungle today. Anyway, I will just click on the YouTube link there and see once again. I just saw earlier ones. Thank you, Noor Madam, and this one. I think Noor Madam missed you was our very common drumstick as an perennial leafy edible green. Maybe I missed it. No problem. See, we bring lots.
No, sir, I purposely left it because it's very well known.
Yes.
I just took the ones which are not well known.
That is very much true. So maybe Nataraj sir, you can take 1 minute as an last if you want to tell anything. Otherwise, Dr. Rajesh is there for the closing remarks.
I think there is nothing much to add unless there are questions. I hope this activism has more takers after this presentation.
Definitely, sir. Thank you
Yes.
for all your.
Sir, Ramki sir, you have anything to say, sir?
So most of the greens, definitely, it's a very, very informative, and we all can take that, and which we are right now putting in compost. We should start eating.
Yes, Dr. Rajesh, please.
So we had a very, very enriching session by both of them. And both of them are stalwarts in their fields. Noor Madam, I know personally for so many years, not only through GCF, but through many other forums. In fact, she happens to be a family friend of ours. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us and making this session enriching. Nataraj sir, we have been meeting in all the OFITs, and I think your daughter was my student in St. Joseph's College. So I remember there'll be no OFIT without brilliancies and beyond. So thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful presentation. Thank you all GCF members and OTGians in Zoom who have been regular to this and seeing that this happens. Our secretary, Dr. Hegde, though he's not in town, I think he's far, far away somewhere in Honavar or Kumta. He still has managed to join the meet, and all others, Anil Darig, Narayan sir, I don't know that I missed name. Now, all of you here in Zoom, thank you so much for making this happen. And we had a lot of viewers watching on YouTube. Thank you, YouTube viewers, and I hope your questions have been answered. Please join us every Sunday. We have many more Sundays to go. Please join us every Sunday at 4 p.m. in the same channel. In case you have not already done so, please subscribe to the channel so that you get updates on it. Thank you so much and have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you.
So you can just close, Dr. Rajesh. So please wait for 1 minute, all of you.